Welcome to The Experience Architect, the show where we aim to inspire you to create more meaningful experiences every day. Today's guest is Ashley Athena Abboushi, an international model turned entrepreneur. She founded the A Suite Global, a curated community of growth-minded, impact-driven entrepreneurs whose members support each other in achieving their goals. Please join me for a refreshing look at architecting meaningful life experiences for personal growth and fulfillment. Please tell us who you are and what do you do?
I love this. I love what you're doing with this. And thank you so much for having me,
You're very
Tony.
welcome.
So, okay, about me. I grew up in the States, and each of my grandparents are from a different country: Puerto Rico, Greece, Palestine, and England. So I grew up in the summers going to Greece to see my grandparents. And I'm just really passionate about human rights, traveling, getting outside your comfort zone, and creating meaningful relationships and experiences. So I was an international model for like almost 20 years, and it just wasn't something that I was feeling aligned with. I felt like, I'm like, I boycott these companies. I don't want to be the face of this brand. And, that's exploiting people, or that's the fur industry, or whatever it was. So I was having a hard time making it work with my values and like ethics, I guess. And I wasn't feeling like I was making a positive impact in the world. And I'm like, how can I make a positive impact in the world? And then I got into the personal development space. And initially I took my mom to a Tony Robbins conference.
Wow.
I'm like, she needs this. I'm going to take her. And then I'm like, oh, I need this. Everybody could use this.
Yeah.
The idea of just learning how to, master your emotions, and just the fact that you can do that.
Well, do you mind me just
So
asking? It might be a really silly question, but what led you to go, oh, I really want to go to a Tony Robbins event?
My dad used to have the tapes in the house. And
yeah, my dad did as well.
But that was just like a seed planted. Like, it wasn't anything, I saw these weird colorful tapes like near the TV in his office, and I was like, okay. And I got an email about, I don't know how many years ago. And I was in Greece at the time with visiting my grandma there. And it was like, do you need to, shift this about your life? And I'm like, I think my mom would love this. And so I'm going to take her. And I just called my mom and I'm like, we haven't gone on a mother-daughter trip before. I'm taking in New York for a week and we're going to do this together, because I thought that'd be a good way to get her to do it. And we had a great time. And for me, it was so much more impactful because really I was going for my mom. I was like, she would benefit from this. I'm like, I lived all over the world. I'm doing, my thing. And I didn't really realize it was such a pleasant, unexpected surprise that it would impact my life as much as it did. So, yeah.
And is that kind of what's driven you to like, share that with others in terms of like, help others go on that same personal development journey?
Yes, because it's not typical, and it's getting more mainstream, the idea of doing the work and reflecting, and the idea of reading about personal development. But growing up and in our circles, typically it's not something most people have around them. And so it was so inspiring and empowering just being around all these people that are like, hey, if you don't like something about your life, do something about it. Stop complaining. And it's like, wow, what an amazing concept. I could do something about it. Great idea. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times people like to complain and not do anything about it and not take action. So for me, it was so special just to be around other people that are, I wrote an article called What Are You Waiting For? About how I quit my job in my early 20s and couch surfed around the world and lived on 5 continents and created opportunities for myself. And then that's how I lived abroad for like almost a decade before I went back to the States for a few years and then moved permanently abroad. And it was really just to inspire people to believe that they could do that. And I didn't really often meet too many people like that would do something like that, or that, had that lifestyle or the belief that if you didn't like something about your life, you could do something about it. And so that for me, that I think was what was so empowering and what made me want to start the A Suite and my former company Dream Teamers, and just this idea of building community around people that are ambitious and growth minded and impact driven and wanting to inspire others to live their best life. It's not pie, right? It's like, if I'm happy and healthy and living my best life, it doesn't mean you can't be happy and healthy and living your best life. So it's just like, we can all.
Yes. I love that. I kind of think of what you're doing as truly like helping people to create the life experiences that they want to have, right? And I think one of the things that I've learned, I love traveling as well. And so many people have said to me over the years, like, oh, your life is so amazing. And I'm like, it's what I want to do, right? And this, I hear you, because I feel like there's so many people that I don't know if it's using excuses as to why they can't do something. How do you unblock that? Like, how do you help people realize that they can do whatever they want if they really want it?
I think like one thing is being okay and kind of having that understanding of like, hey, if this is something you want, I'm going to call you out on your excuses and your limiting beliefs, right? Because that's a huge blocker in all of us, me, everyone. It's something that we're all working towards if we choose to accept that as the reality, that we can do something about it. And so when you have relationships and friendships that are like, hey, listen, you've been talking about the same thing, you've been complaining about the same thing forever, let's do something about it. Or I don't want to hear about it anymore, right? Like either do something, take action about the job that you hate and you're miserable. It's like, what kind of life is that? Like, I'm not here to tell you what your goals and dreams are, but I can provide the community and the support and the clarity, like that, like a structure to help you find clarity around figuring out what that is for you. What does your dream life look like? Your best relationship, your happiest day? Like most people don't even know what they want or what that looks like for them. And that's what I find is so interesting. It's like so many people can tell you what they don't want or what they don't like, but they don't actually make the time or the effort to figure out what it is that they do want. And so it's like, how are you going to find that? How are you going to create that life? How are you going to get there if you don't even know where there is?
Do you have any theories around why that is? Like, why do people know what they don't want versus what they want?
I think it's typically, especially like since I grew up in the States, I can talk the most on that. Culturally, it's so much more common to hear people complaining and to have to feel this sense of, oh, this is the way it is. And so when you're around other people, like the conversation's different. When you're around people that are living a life super intentionally and very like clear on what their ideal life looks like and creating that life for themselves and not making a bunch of excuses and blaming every other person and their parents and their circumstances, right? It's like you can always find somebody that has it better than you for sure. But you can also easily find somebody and many people and thousands of people that have it much worse than you, right? So millions of people. So it's just kind of focusing on that. It's just like, okay, shit happens. It's going to happen. What can I do about it? Because dwelling in that place, like feel those feelings, it's okay. But how long do you want to live in that place? How long do you want to stay frustrated and miserable in a relationship or a job or a country or wherever it is that is making you not feel excited about life? So I think seeing people that are excited about their life is what people need. People get so inspired when they see somebody that's excited about life. It's like, wow, I didn't know I could feel that way. I didn't realize I could be excited about life or wake up on a Monday and be like, I love my life.
Yeah, that's true. I think positivity is infectious, right? And so is negativity. What gets you excited these days?
Ooh, okay. I'm a new aunt, so that gets me excited. Seeing my nephew, and it's my first nephew. So I'm a new aunt. I've never been an aunt, and So that's really exciting. And new experiences and adventures. I'm such a yes person, but also I'm okay not knowing. I feel like if we have everything perfectly planned out, we're not going to leave room for magic. So, so many amazing and incredible things and opportunities have happened because I really trust my intuition. Whether it tells me, like, I feel like, oh, I should go talk to that person. It's like, okay, I'll go talk to that person. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what my gut is telling me. I'm going to do it. Or, you know what I mean?
That must be really uncomfortable. Like, where did you learn that kind of confidence just to like, I'm just going to go do that?
In the beginning, it is uncomfortable and it's always a little bit scary. Yeah. But if you constantly remind yourself and remember all of the amazing times and the amazing experiences and the amazing friendships and things that have happened because I went outside my comfort zone, because I had talked to that stranger or asked for what it is that I wanted, or was open to something. Because a lot of times in our mind, we have this story playing back, like, what if it doesn't work? What if it this? And it's like, well, what if it does work? Right?
Yes.
That's such a better way to reframe it and think about it. And so I constantly know that when I get out of my comfort zone and put myself out there, amazing things happen. So when I feel like I'm getting nervous about something or I don't want to do something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And there's something that Mel Robbins talks about, and it's like this thing that she does called, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. So you count backwards because at 0, you have to go. You can't keep counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like, no. You're getting to 0. You got to take action. Otherwise, your brain's going to talk you out of it.
True.
So
That's true.
I do that to myself before my brain talks me out of doing something. Whether it's literally, I just do that all the time.
Okay, that's a good tip. I think one of the things that really challenged me, I think it was probably about 8, 9 years ago, I came across a community which has that kind of same philosophy that you do, while I was in the UK, and they call themselves the Yes Tribe, right? And their whole ethos is just say yes to more things, right? And it's such an yeah, you're right. It's scary, but it's such an empowering and awesome thing. And when you say yes to a whole bunch of things that you didn't think you could, you just do things that you never expected. You meet people that you never anticipated that you would.
And I feel like we don't believe in ourselves enough. And so a lot of times I hear myself talking myself out of something. Like, for example, I was in Dubai and some friends were going on a boat trip to Oman. So you like sleep on the boat one night on the top and under this. It's so fun. And I joined my friend and her partner. I was like, okay, I'll come with you guys, and like 20 strangers. And so there was a shipwreck, and some of the guys were like, oh, we're going to go, like the captain of the boat like free dove down to it. And he's like, oh, it's really amazing if you can free dive down to it. And like 3 of the guys are like, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to free dive down to it. And I'm sitting on the boat thinking, I would love to go. I've always wanted to learn to free dive. I really want to try it. I would love to see it. And I don't go for a few minutes. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just try? So I go. And I'm the only one who could do it, who could actually sprint along the boat. And the captain saw me from the top. He's like, oh my God, you're amazing. You could go through it. And I was like, guys, can't you get the GoPro and like follow me? And like nobody could even get down there and stay down there. So it's like reminding myself of all the amazing things, whether it's a conversation or a date or whatever it is, like a cool experience. It's like when we talk ourselves out of things without even giving it a chance, like what good does that do? Like I literally almost didn't go. They were already swam over to the area. You know, it's like I see them in the water. I'm like, really want to go. I really want to go. And then I'm like, let me just go.
You must have so many stories that where you've said yes and then things have happened. And then one thing has led to another, and you're in a very different place to where you would have been had you not said yes. Do you ever think, or do you not waste time thinking about like, had your life taken a different direction, or do you just always direct yourself forward, or do you use retrospective to kind of adjust where you're going? Like, tell me more. Like, how does that work?
I think this or like everything happens for a reason. Like I totally believe that. So whether I make a wrong turn or I miss my exit, like whatever it is, I totally believe that 100% with all of my being. And I feel like that really helps me in life because then I don't get as frustrated or upset about things. You know, I literally drove 13 hours 2 days ago I went to see a grandma and I wasn't getting, like, I missed a turn. Oh, well, like, I will just make the next one. Like, what can I do about it? I already missed the turn. Yeah. Well, how's it going to benefit me or my sister in the back seat if I'm getting all frustrated and upset about it? And so that is a super powerful belief in my life, and also this or something better. So whether it's a business partnership, a relationship, personal, like anything it is in life, this or something better. So I know, like, every person is meant to come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I believe that. And so I think that a lot of times we have issues when we try to make everybody a lifetime person. Okay. So it's like, oh, but this was my best friend for these years. Like, how can they not be my best friend for the rest of my life? And it's like, maybe they actually weren't a lifetime person. Maybe they were that season and they were so special in your life at that time. And maybe you grew apart. Who knows what the situation was, but it was great for what it was. So appreciate that experience, right? I'm so grateful and happy that I had that. Yeah. And now something else is going to take that place.
Other people, and that's okay. Other things, right?
Yeah. So those beliefs, I think, are super helpful to help me with resilience and just being happy and more grateful.
And what do you like from you've had a long career doing a few different things, right? So from, I guess, modeling through to entrepreneurship, are they quite different skills, or do you see them as two sides of the same coin?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, in modeling and acting, there's a lot of rejection, which is interesting and a neat experience to go through growing up. Because many people don't deal with so much rejection. It's like you can send in audition, you can go wait in a long line at a casting. Even yesterday, I had that long drive and I had a request self-tape for a commercial. And I'm like, okay, she said it's due Sunday night. In my mind, I'm thinking, as long as I get it to her Monday morning by 9 a.m., it should be fine, right? So I had to play tennis and do running videos. So I'm like, hey, Mom, since I'm visiting, like, want to go to the tennis court with me and like help me with this? We can play back and forth. So we do this. So we get there. It's early. It's hot. The balls we had didn't work. So it's all like a funny experience that ended up working out great. But I sent it to my agent by like 9:15 and she's like, oh, it was due yesterday. And I'm like, oh well, that stinks. But I'm just going to send it to you. Like I sent it to you anyways. So in case you need it for them, if they don't find what they're looking for. But right away, I was like, my mom is new here and just made some new friends that invited her to play pickleball with them. And I had a great time with my mom. So instead of getting so frustrated and upset, I was like, oh, that's the reason that we were meant to come here. We were meant to come here so that we could have that time together and my mom could make some new friends. I'm so excited. So I feel like the faster we can be grateful for experiences and not consistently be like, oh, I'm a victim. This ruined things. I'm not going to get the job, right? It's like modeling is full of rejection in one way or the other. You don't get the job or, maybe something like that happens. And with entrepreneurship, as most and people know, and I'm sure all entrepreneurs, it's also full of twisty, windy roads that it's not this straight line.
Yeah, lots of rejection. Right.
So it's helpful. A lot of pivots and a lot of resilience is needed. And so when you have this, I find sometimes when someone has this kind of entitled mentality around entrepreneurship, like I should be here by now. It's like that doesn't serve you or anyone. That's not going to help you in any way, right? So I feel like in that sense, it is helpful to have had that experience. But it's just a different part of my path, I think. So I'm definitely learning and growing a lot. And
that's really cool. So tell me more about the A Suite. What is it and who is it for?
Yeah. So I was going to a lot of personal development conferences and business conferences and around health. And I love going to these. We met at the startup conference in Malta. And because you meet really cool people and it's like other people are doing amazing things and you just love being surrounded by that energy and other people. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time, energy, and money going to these. And I leave on a high. And then I don't actually change or implement what I want to in my life or my business or my health. And so I'm like, if I don't, and then just waiting for the next one in 4 or 6 months or next year. And it's like, well, what about all that time in between? And finding that, I really started this in the beginning of COVID when people were feeling so isolated and unmotivated and alone and not sure what to do. It's like, what? What do you mean I'm locked inside my house for 2 weeks? That is like 2 years. So I started it and I just got like a bunch of friends from all over the world together on a Zoom call. I'm like, I don't know, but I feel like, you can travel. I've lived all over the world. I have an incredible network. So let me just get some great people together on a call and see what happens from there. And through that, that's like how the A Suite was born. So I ended up coming up with like structure around, having people meet every 2 weeks and I'll have a mastermind or a different panel or speakers or workshop. And then people have little inner circles that I curate. So it's like you're building your network and at the same time you have people to hold you accountable to your personal and professional goals. So every week you meet with your inner circles and it's just a structure of like, what does your best life look like? And how do you get there? How can we support you in getting there? Who do we know that can help you achieve this goal or dream or whatever it is that you're looking to do in your life? And how can we hold each other accountable and support each other? So yeah, it's for growth-minded and impact-driven entrepreneurs.
Cool.
Is the A Suite all over the
and how's that going at the moment? Is it like do you have is it like a constant thing where people are joining, or is it seasonal where people come and go? Explain.
Well, the goal, and I did a rebrand and I relaunched at the end a few months ago. I got really clear on my vision and I'm like, you know what? There are enough groups where you're just another number. I don't want anyone to ever feel like another number. I don't want somebody to join and it's like, here, you're one of 1,500 or 5,000. Yeah. Hope you found what you're looking for. Hope you find the person you're looking for that can support you in this. Hope you make friends, right? So I got really intentional and clear that I only want to have groups of 15. So like I'll open the door to 15 members at a time. The goal is that it's like your community for life. It's you meet great people and people have never even met physically in person and they feel like they know each other. People have started businesses together that they've never actually met in person. And so it's really special because when your presence is noticed and people are intentional with not only who joins, right? It's not just anybody can join. It's like there's a special process of like, hey, is this right for you? Is this going to bring value for you? Are you going to be right for the community? It makes such a difference. Yeah. It's so special to have such a curated group of really amazing people that just want to support you. I mean, you came to one of our masterminds. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I did. And thank you for the invitation. It was really interesting. I've never come across a group of people before that are really engaged and invested in each other's success, that genuinely are wanting to help. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from the session that I attended was just how transparent and vulnerable people are in those sessions in terms of like they're willing to share. And for me, that was really empowering, that when other people are willing to be vulnerable, it allows you to go, oh, actually, why can't I? Or why can't I ask that silly question? Or why can't I ask for that advice that I've always wanted, but maybe been too afraid to ask? So I thought it was really very cool how you've curated a community that has those values.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm really grateful that you joined, and we'll hopefully see you again. Most of the people on the call didn't know each other in person.
That's really cool.
Like two have met. No one else has even met in person, but you would never have guessed,
No.
right?
And the thing that I loved about it is people from all over the world, right? I think that's something that these days where people are living and working in a very global world, people are making unique connections and getting different unique perspectives. And I think that just helps people broaden their perspectives and the opportunity. And you never know, where those opportunities go, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of the members appreciate. It's like we have people across industries and across the world. So it's like, oh, hey, I'm coming to Dubai from New Zealand. Oh, I live there. Come, we'll take you to dinner. Can't wait to meet up. Or we just had panel on human design. And most of us were like, what is human design? Okay, let's learn about it. And then we have one on Bitcoin, right? And so it's just like you're always learning different things, connecting to different people. You have access to different networks too. So people are like, is anyone a lawyer? I just have some questions about my business that you can maybe connect me with someone. Or so I find there's a lot of value in like having support, because it can be lonely being an entrepreneur and not having like a team necessarily, or like who are you going to run ideas by? And maybe your neighbors or your family don't understand, like, why do you want to work on a Sunday when you can get a job for someone else? Like they don't understand your dreams. But I'm really excited. I can't wait for us to do more in-person trips. And so, that's why I started, just to give community and support to people that are looking to live their best life, but also make a positive impact in the world.
So tell me, like, how, like the A Suite, like, how did you come up with that name? Is the A for Ashley?
No. So I actually had one of the kind of uniques about the A Suite is it's like member-led, member-driven. So I asked people like, what do you want to learn about? Okay, great. I'll tap into my network and bring in speakers on those topics. Where do you want to, what are the experiences you want to have? Amazing. I'll plan trips and stuff around that. And so I had a mastermind call and I'm like, hey, I'm looking to have a new name when I dissolved my last company, Dream Teamers. And I'm like, what should the name be? And so we came up with the A Suite, and it's like a play off of C-suite. So a lot of people aspire to be a C-suite, like C-level executive, right? CEO, CFO. And to me, that's just potential business success. Like I'm looking to create happy, healthy, fulfilled, successful people. So that's where like the A comes in. So the A is just anything like accountability, adventure, ambitious, awesome, authentic, like whatever the A, whatever people want to think of
Amazing.
the A.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Do most people know that, like, or is that a question that you're often asked?
The members know it because some of them have helped come up with the name. But yeah, people ask me all the time, is it for Ashley? Is it for Athena Abboushi? Like, what is it? And I'm like, no, it just so happens that my names all start with A, but
that's really cool. So it's interesting. I just assumed that like it would have something to do with your name, but clearly a higher purpose.
That was just a bonus that my name is also an A.
So what is kind of like what's the future? Like you've got a great career, you travel a lot. What is your intention for the A Suite? Like, where do you want to take that? Or is that kind of like just one of many things that you're working on right now?
I'm happy like investing and being an angel investor or other things, but I want to focus on the A Suite as my business, that my community, it's something that I love, that I feel is my way to make a positive impact in the world. And it brings me so much joy to be working with this and such amazing people in the group. So I wanted to always be intimate. And so I want to max at 150 members around the world. So whether that's, I have two different tiers, like a community tier and the A team, whether it's like 150 each or 150 total, it's just, I wanted to always be intimate and everyone to feel like they're, a part of it.
People know each other.
And a part of, and everybody, and I don't feel like if I have 10,000 members, even I'm going to be able to as easily be like, oh, hey, I know you from this. This is what you're doing. Like, how am I going to be able to support each person? And the special thing about having it so intimate is that, let's say I'm in you're in my cohort of 15, Tony. I know that you want to do a triathlon because I know you. I know your goals and your dreams. And my pillars for the A Suite are vitality, prosperity, and relationships. So it's all around, great health, great relationships, and financial freedom, right? Because I don't find, especially after living in New York and knowing entrepreneurs where we can get tunnel vision into one thing, it's like, I don't think it's the best life ever to be 70 with a ton of money in the bank, but you don't have your health or your relationships, or vice versa. And so that's why I make such a huge effort to have it be more of a well-rounded community in terms of expertise in the community and also what we're learning about and growing in. And everyone has their goals in that. So let's say I'm at a conference and I meet some guy that has done 35 triathlons. Because I know you, it empowers me to be like, oh my gosh, you've got to connect with Tony. He's so excited to do his first triathlon. I think you'd be a great person for him to talk to. And so it really empowers everyone to be able to support everybody because everybody knows what the other members are, their goals and dreams are, and what they're passionate about. And so that's one of the big reasons also for it being intimate is that it empowers everyone to support everyone on such a better and deeper level in achieving their dream life.
So you seem really good at connecting with people. How did you learn that? And how can you help other people do that in a way that's authentic to them?
Yeah. So my mom is amazing at this. She'll go in an elevator and have like everybody's phone number by the time she leaves. She's so amazing at this. Like people think I'm so great. And I'm like, you haven't met my mom who also speaks 5 languages.
Wow.
Like she can relate to anybody and is so great at that. So I'm really grateful that I had her as an experience, like just to be able to experience growing up, watching her and just like bring a smile to everybody's face, anywhere we were, whoever we were, like the person at the grocery store, anyone. Like my mom brings a smile to everybody's face. So that was really special. And one of the things that I do that I'm constantly, I did a masterclass on this called Creating Meaningful Relationships and Experiences, because people ask me this all the time. They're like, how do you meet someone once and they invite you to stay with them? Or it's, if it's a friend of mine, they're like, oh, you're Ashley's friend? Like, oh, we'll hook you up. Like anything you need, what can we do for you? And it's also because people know when you're reaching out to them because you want something or need something. And a lot of times, especially in business, that's what people do. They're only reaching out because they want or need something. And so I think it's important, like we have different experiences where, let's say I'm walking down the street, I see a tie in the window and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would look great on Tony. I know that's his favorite color. And I never say anything to you. Like we all have these experiences and these moments where we think of other people, but we don't do anything.
Don't do anything with it.
So one thing that I like
don't do anything with that information. Like we don't say.
Yeah, we don't do it. Like most people don't do anything with it. So one of the things that I like to tell people, like in that moment, do something about it. Whether it's calling that person, sending a video, a photo, a little voice note. You don't have to have a huge conversation. Just take 1 second to say, hey, Tony, can't chat now. I'm with another friend and we're on our way to a meeting. I just wanted to say hi, that I was thinking of you. Here's a picture of this tie that I thought you'd love. Hope you're well, right? Like that takes 2 seconds. And then you are maintaining your relationships. And when I go to a new place or a place that I've already been and I have a network there or friends there, I love when my friends meet and get to know each other and hang out without me even. And so I'll organize like a farewell party. Like I'm leaving Dubai, so I'm going to organize something. Everybody come meet and don't bring anyone. Come ready to make new friends. And so it's just like that idea that it's okay for your friends to be friends too. And providing just a time to see them. It's like, hey, I only am here for 2 days. I don't have much time to see anyone. I'm going to be here for dinner. If anyone would like to join, would love to see you. Right? It's just like making an effort. Even if you don't have a ton of time to do a bunch of one-on-one lunches with every single person, it's okay to, see if they want to meet you where you can. So just being intentional with your relationships, and also being open to experiences. And if someone invites you to something, like how often do we just make excuses? Oh, I would, but I can't. Like, okay.
Say yes.
Did you do anything about it? Right. Like say yes. Or if you can't, reschedule.
Yeah.
Like, thanks so much for inviting me. How about I can't do it that time. But instead of just leaving it there, let's reschedule. Love to get it on the calendar. I would love to join you for dinner, but how about in next month? Whatever it is.
What comes across to me is you're so passionate about so many things, which is really cool. But that must drive you crazy. Like, how do you focus? How do you know what to focus on and when not to focus on that thing? Do you have any rules of thumb that you use? Because a lot of people have that problem. And, you know, especially when you're thinking about personal development, that's what a lot of people struggle with is, you know, pulled in so many different directions.
I think for me, I got really depressed actually, because when I first became an activist, like 10, 12 years ago, I'm like feeling like I was trying to do everything for every cause possible. I'm like, oh, let me go do this. Like I couldn't function. It's too much. Like it's too much. And so for me, what I did was I realized like I can't do everything for every cause. I need to pick a cause. And I think the world would be such a better place if everyone just picked one cause bigger than yourself and learned about it and contributed and donated and whatever you can do to support making that situation better. And so for me, like I had to choose. I'm like, my one cause is the occupation of the Palestinians. And and at the time I was vegan, and I'm very into supporting locally and, you know, supporting just local businesses in general. So it's like I don't support fast fashion. Right? So it's like, okay, what can I personally do to make the world a better place? But mentally, I can't go to a protest for everything. I can't read books on every cause. I can't do, you know, this is this. And it's like, I've been sponsoring children for like 20 years. So like, I'll do that. I will learn and read and go to lectures and conferences on our foreign policies in the Middle East. Great. Like, cause that's my one focus. So I just think for me, that was
and
kind
focused
of
on one thing
I needed to do. Yeah. And then I feel better about it. Like I was really having a hard time. Like, why can't I learn about everything from like factory farming to, you know, like there are so many things in the world. So like anyone pick one.
Yeah. And what would you say is your biggest motivator, whether now or in the past?
It's a good question. I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. Like how, you know, Gandhi's quote, I had that in the bottom of my emails for I don't know how many years. Yeah. And so I just do my best to do that.
And do you think that one person can really make a difference?
Absolutely. And I think the Dalai Lama said this. He's like, if you think that one person can't make a difference, like, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. Like, you know that mosquito is ruining your whole sleep. You hear it buzzing around.
Yeah, it's very true.
It's gonna bother you. And so it's like, there's something else I saw. It was like, oh, I'm only one person. I can't make a difference, said 8 billion people. It's like, hello.
But right? It's so true, right? I think that a lot of people go, oh, but what impact can I have? What difference can I make? I'm just one person. And I like that analogy of the mosquito, right? You know the difference that a mosquito makes, just one in a room when you're trying to sleep. And it's huge. And the same thing is with people. So I think that's a great analogy for people that think to themselves, oh, you know, I'm just one person. I can't make a difference. But I think some of the subjects that we've talked about today are really important, especially for those that are wanting to create a life experience that they can look back on. Because one of the stories that I always think about is I used to get such amazing stories from my grandfather when I was young. And I just think if you don't have any kind of life experiences, what are you going to tell your grandchildren about? Like, they're going to be boring ass stories. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think,
Yeah.
at least when you look back, or even if you don't have grandchildren, like when you're retired and talking with your best friend, you can look back and you're going to remember those moments, right, in life that were memorable, and you're going to be talking about those things. It's not going to be like, oh, you're not going to go, oh, remember how we used to stay at the office like really late, working really hard. No. Yeah, you might talk about that one time, but it's going to be those experiences that you've had, those moments that actually matter.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And it makes you so happy to remember those experiences or look at a photo from something and reminisce on that. And also think about it I feel like having empathy is a huge driver in that, right? So in the sense of, how amazing do you feel when somebody walks by you and was like, oh my God, I love your shirt, Tony. You look amazing today. Like, you feel amazing. And from a stranger that just gave you a compliment. Yeah. And so it's just like, if more people are living in that way of, oh, I love to receive compliments, like a genuine compliment. Don't just say a lie or make something up that you don't mean. But because we all in our mind think, oh, that guy has great hair, or I love their smile, or what a cool laptop cover. I don't know, right? Say it. Just say it. Because then you're going to make that person's day and have them smile, and then they're going to do that to somebody else. It's like a ripple effect of positive energy and kindness just because you shared what was on your mind anyways.
Yeah. Now, I think for me, we've talked about quite a lot of things. We've talked about how people should start saying yes to more things, right? Taking chances, opportunities. But how do you go and, like, when you've decided what cause or, you know, what you're passionate about, how do you go and actually make things happen? Because that could sometimes be really difficult for people to move from, like, okay, I know what I want to do, but how do I actually go and make it happen? How do you go from the theory of it, or that nice, I want to do such and such, but how do you actually go and actually go and do it?
Well, I think it's a habit. So you just need to start. You just need to pick one small thing and start. It's like one foot in front of the other. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to start taking action. So whether it's ordering a book to get more educated on it, and on whether it's a cause, or if you want to travel more, you can just Google like groups, trips, or the place that you'd always wanted to go, right? Like, just take action, just start, do whatever it is. One little thing that will lead you to another thing, and then another thing. I remember I was reading a book, and in the intro of the book, it was The Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. And he says in there, like, email me if you want to be on our email list, and I'll send, tips on entrepreneur tips for you, kind of leadership tips. And I'm like, oh, cool. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, I'll email and add my name to the email list. Cool. I emailed and he emailed me back.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? I just had Bernard email me back because in the front of his book, it said, email me your name and your email, and I will add you to the mailing list. And so how freaking cool is that? Just by taking action from reading the intro to his book. And then we were chatting and he's like, I recommend checking out this women's, Million Dollar Women. It's a group for women business owners. I'm like, amazing. Thanks. So it's just like, you never know what's going to happen just from taking action. But the thing is, you have to take action. Yeah. And a lot of people, that's the missing link. They don't take action. They talk about it. They think about it. They don't take action. And that's the only difference between people that are doing things, right? It's like figuring out, like, what can we do? What action can we take? And how long can we, pivot when things aren't working out how we'd hoped?
That's really, I really like that that thinking about taking action and just doing something small. Because quite often people are just thinking that they have to take the big action steps, right? And you're right, just taking a small one of maybe educating yourself about that subject, or let's say if you're looking for a new job or wanting to make a career switch into a different industry. So the first step is not looking for, it could be just talking to someone in that industry and just finding out.
Who's done that?
Yeah.
Change jobs. Let's have a conversation. Would love to go on a walk and talk about your experience, right? Like, that's it. Just one small thing. You never know what it'll lead to.
Yeah. What's your most amazing travel experience that you've had?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. I've had so many amazing travel experiences, but one that is coming to mind right now is I went to the Philippines. When did I go? 2019, 2020. I was moving to Bali, and at the airport, they were like, you can't stay in Bali so long because my ticket was 6 months. They're like, you need to show that you're leaving the country. And I'm like, shit, what? What do you mean? I can't get on my flight. So I look around, I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, I need to buy a ticket really fast. So I booked a flight to the Philippines because I had been sponsoring a child there for, at that point, like 16, 17 years. And I'm like, I'm going to meet them. I really want to meet him and his family. So I'm going to book this, cancel it within 24 hours, but I'll just show them so I can get through to my flight so that I can plan it with them, like a date that works for them. Fine. And a friend of mine from Australia, anyways, I went on that trip. She met me there. And I didn't really have much expectations about the Philippines because growing up in the States, it's so far and we don't really learn about the world. But also the Philippines isn't really a destination that Americans go because it's so far away. So we don't really hear about it much. And so initially I'm like, I'm just going to go to this island that he lives and leave. Like I wasn't really thinking how amazing it actually is and all the different islands. And I really just didn't know much about it. And she, living in Australia, was like, oh, I've always wanted to go, all these places. So we ended up making it almost a 3-week trip and bopped around all over the Philippines. And it was amazing and magical and so fun. And we laughed the whole time, my friend Louise and I. And things that didn't work out, like we just laughed. Like I remember we were going to an island and we're like, because all we had sorted out was like, we're going to these different islands. So like we flew into Manila, El Nido, Coron, we went to Cebu, Bohol, and Siargao and like out. And that was the trip plan. Like we just knew the islands, the dates, like we didn't know anything else. And so we asked in front of us, like people got off the flight we were going to this little island and we're like, hey, where did you guys stay? Because we didn't even book a plane yet when we get there. And they're like, oh, we stayed at this cute little B&B and we have an amazing guy that drove us all around on this island. And we're like, great, could you give us his number? So we literally in line, like boarding the flight as people are getting off of the same place. And we say that we had so much like that, so many little experiences that we just had the best time making just the best time of whatever it was, the situation. And not everything worked out perfect, right? But we just laughed. We were like, okay, that wasn't ideal. We came all the way to the airport. Our flight is canceled. And we're like, oh my gosh, let's go back because we can still make breakfast at the hotel if we can get and so we're just like, let's leave and stay another day. Great. So it's just like figuring out how to pivot and be in a more grateful state faster. And that's what made the trip so fun. We just both decided, and the way that we both live, it's like, we're not going to dwell on things not working out. We're just going to make the best of it. Right. And so we did. And it was the best time ever. We had so much fun.
Oh my goodness. Sounds like you have so many amazing stories that you could share with us. But no, I want to say thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, but also talking to us about tips that we can do and implement in a practical way to be able to actually create, more amazing life experiences, really, and just get started. So thank you so much, Ashley.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to listen to all the other episodes you have coming up on the Experience Architect. So cool.
Yeah. And hopefully we can inspire so many people to not have just amazing life experiences, but also architect other kinds of experiences as they go as well. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Tony.